So next panel, our experts will answer our questions. Let me invite our moderator for this session. Andrew, please come up to the stage again. Andrew is the founder of TinkBig Venture from Malaysia. And our panelists, may I invite Mr. Bruce Bateman, Chief Technology Advisor of Smart Life and Application, SBG LITE-ON. Very lively, very energetic. And Mr. Edward Greve, Head of Engineering, IOTA Foundation, who just gave us a very insightful keynote speech. And Jeremy Damon Chang, founder of SocialMatters. Last but not least, Mr. Kevin Yu, founder of Taiwan Accelerator. Andrew, are we ready?
Hello. Hello. Yep. Everyone can hear me?
Okay.
Hello.
Good to see all this familiar face again. I think first time I met Bruce, right? No? Last year we were together, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Good. So, okay, I think clock is ticking. Let's just start by a bit introduction and background. Maybe we start with Bruce.
Good evening. Good afternoon. I'm Bruce Bateman. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for a part of LITE-ON for the Smart Life groups. And LITE-ON is an $8 billion contract manufacturer. And so when we look for startups, we look for companies that are going to have the manufacturing capability and one of the world's, we do about 64 million IoT devices a year. So we make a lot of IoT modules for a lot of different and make gateways and all. So when we look at things, we kind of look at it a little differently. We look at investing in technologies that are not only going to make money, but we're more interested in technologies that will help increase our factory output. So we look for things for Industry 4.0. We look for things, companies that will make a lot more IoT devices for our factory.
Hi, my name is Edward Greve. I'm with the IOTA Foundation. I'm the head of engineering. I was actually in your office, I guess, the couple of weeks ago in Nehu, at the LITE-ON office for a meeting. So we're very aware of your IoT device manufacturing capacity. Yeah, so the IOTA Foundation, again, if you missed the talk earlier, we're a nonprofit based out of Germany. We're sort of looking for these more visionary, I guess, open collaboration and co-creation opportunities in IoT and connected device economies and all that stuff.
Okay, hello everyone, I'm JD. I think I was asked on the panel today for two different reasons. I'm a startup founder and operator. So on the operator side, my current startup, we have hustled for our money. So we've raised money from 45 different individuals, VC firms, and others, so I can speak about that. And then just my background, I've been through 3 accelerators in the US. And then I also helped launch Steep Accelerator, which is an organization that helps Taiwanese founders go to the US as well. So, you know, I kind of can put on a, you know, while I'm not an investor, I can put on an investor's evaluation hat. And then I can also think about, as a founder, how I would feel when somebody tells me all those bad things. But I think that's why I'm here today.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Andrew and friends, new friends. Okay. I'm Kevin Yu. I founded Taiwan Accelerator with a couple of partners 1.5 years ago. Right now, we invested and incubated 14 startups so far. Combined valuation increased by 500%, $28 million capital raise. And right now, we highly focus on the transformative tech and impact investment.
Oh, good. I think I have a huge variety of different backgrounds, different hats. Okay, maybe let me just start by a bit of my observation. I realized that the whole tech startup industry is getting into a worrisome culture where a lot of startups, they don't celebrate because their solution is being accepted in the market or they are expanding. Most startups celebrate because they managed to secure another round of fundraising. I think this is kind of challenging because ultimately I believe one thing is that whether you are in startup or whether you are in entrepreneur, your solution needs to create a value ultimately. Okay, and then my first question is always to be a bit straightforward: fundraising or bootstrapping?
Okay, so I personally have been involved or started 9 startups and gone IPO, gone not bankrupt but closed. So I've been a VC twice in my life. It's the challenge of being old. I've done a lot. So in the old days, you were validated by your customers, how many customers you had. Today, a lot of everybody's looking for, well, I've gotten how much money I've gotten. And it's interesting because one of the problems in accelerators and incubators here in Taiwan and a lot of places I've worked with, a lot of the KPIs are about how many companies come in, not how much money. So you correctly said how much money you raised. A lot of times when you ask incubators and accelerators, they say, oh yeah, we're going to get 100 teams in here. Well, that's not the point. The point is how many exit. And it's how much money did you raise and how far did they go and what did they do for the next step. So I believe personally that bootstrapping has its advantages, which means you're going to put your blood, sweat into it. If it's too easy and you suddenly get $10 million and you don't have anything, then the drive is slightly less. And there's use cases where people have taken the money because they were going to be a unicorn, and before they made a product, blew the money in Vegas. So there are those use cases.
So I don't know how much insight I can actually provide here. I didn't found IOTA. I wasn't involved in the ICO or anything or token sale.
You did an ICO. Talk about that.
Well, I don't know if they call it an ICO. I think they call it a token sale. But they basically sold off all the tokens, and then they did not keep any for running the foundation. They were donated back later, actually. But yeah, from my sort of the environment that I work in anyway, where it's very blockchain ICO heavy, and all of our competition, so to speak, are doing ICOs, and yeah, they definitely always look at how much money they raised on an ICO. I mean, from where I'm sitting, this is not a valid measure, right? So for the foundation in particular, we're looking for adoption. We want to see real-world number usage, who is using it, which companies are using it, how many apps are being built on it. Something that is a hard number, not just, oh, we raised X amount of Ethereum or whatever from an ICO.
So this is a great question. It's something that we're going through right now because for our company or for my company, we've raised angel capital. So we don't have one VC that owns a lot of our company. And we're coming up on profitability. So we have a lot of paths in front of us. What you're saying is absolutely true. A lot of people, especially in the Bay Area, and especially in a lot of like very hot ecosystems, people just want to raise money, and then it becomes like the badge of honor, and that's great. There's a huge flip side, which is if you raise money, you're giving away your company. So later rounds, you're going to suffer pretty hard, right? Like you may be able to sustain and get past that 6 months where you would have died, but guess what? In your A round, you don't have that much money or that much of the company left to give, and your terms just get worse and worse. And then as a founder, I don't think it's discussed enough that you make strategic decisions based on like how much ownership you and the management team have. Like you will take equity later from different people just based on the term sheet. And so like to your point, like it depends on the technology you're working on, but if you can bootstrap early, you should bootstrap early because you're going to own a lot of the rights later on.
Totally agree with you guys, and maybe I can share a little bit more about the situation in Taiwan actually, because in Taiwan, okay, fundraising is very challenging for especially early stage startup because they need the money to do the product, they need the money to grow. But in Taiwan, maybe quite a lot of you guys may know the situation is that the capital chain in Taiwan is not that healthy because most VC here, they are willing to invest in Series A and after. So in angel investment and also the pre-seed investment, we don't see a lot of money here. So for the Taiwanese startup, the early stage startup, they may want to ask for the government grant. They will ask for to lend money from the bank, and also ask their parents for money. So that's why we founded Taiwan Accelerator, try to help a little bit about the situation. So we also suggest that the Taiwanese government, they should really focus and put more effort in updating and changing the company laws. Because, you know, signing the convertible note in Taiwan is illegal right now. So that's crazy. And the startup, they cannot decide the face value of the shares. So we have a lot of things to do here.
Okay, just let me talk about what Kevin said. I think convertible note in Malaysia is not deemed illegal, but it's a kind of gray area though. Yeah, because there's interest bearing. There is actually a cap on the valuation because the investor might get double. Let's say you raise at 1 million at 10% for 100,000. Imagine if your cap is at 5 million for your next round. If you raise at 2.5 million, investor actually get double of their equity. I think a lot of people are not clear about it. So before you actually sign on convertible note, please understand what are the rights that attach to it. Okay, and then personally, I just want to talk about a bit. I think I'm particularly a big fan of bootstrapping because I think over the past 20 years I've been in entrepreneurship, I've been bootstrapping. I think bootstrapping echoes and haunts your entrepreneurship skill. You will expand only when it makes sense. You will enhance your product features only you think that the market needs it. You will hire when you need it. So I think bootstrapping is very interesting. But let's just get into fundraising. So my next question is ICO, VC, or crowdfunding? Okay, Edward, maybe you can go first.
So ICO, VC, or crowdfunding? I mean, it depends on what you want to do, right? I don't think there's a one right answer here. For me personally, I don't think ICO seems like it makes sense in the long run. I mean, you don't get any ownership share of the company. You don't get any rights associated with it. There's no guarantee about the token value or anything, unless they're like have some ridiculous buyback plan that won't work. So I don't know. Maybe I feel like ICO had its heyday already in end of 2017, but it's still new. So who knows?
I think it depends on what area, what region you're talking about. If you're in United States or Taiwan or Greater Southeast Asia, you know, we never explored the ICOs because I always thought that it was kind of risky, and you know, but it is something that is used quite a bit. We do like there are some peer-to-peer lending platforms out there if you're very early on that make a lot of sense. But also, you know, to your point, if you're getting something off the ground, I think the most important thing is just to get enough to try and get your MVP down, and then from there, you know, I think a lot of people spend too much time fundraising. You do need to get enough money in the bank to continue to go. But kind of to your point, if your roadmap is this year, I'm going to spend the next 4 months on the road fundraising, then you're not building the company. And so, you know, just figure out how you can get enough money in the bank until hopefully you have a killer product, and then people are coming to you, because that's the best way to fundraise, right? When people are just coming to you.
Okay, ICO, an interesting topic. Recently, quite a lot of startups come to me and say, "Hey, Kevin, can you help me to run an ICO project?" Okay, and I reply, "Okay, what are you guys doing?" It's totally not related to blockchain. Okay, so first, I tell them that okay, first of all, you have to be a blockchain-based startup. Because you know, in the crypto world, the token investor, they will support a very good blockchain technology, the technology that can disrupt a certain area of the industry or even the world. So there is some basic criteria. But I just talk a little bit about Taiwan. Okay, is it okay to run an ICO in Taiwan? No, right? In Malaysia, definitely no. Okay, so it's a trick question. As far as I can see, quite a lot of Taiwanese startups, they set up a holding company in Singapore, and they hire a Singapore lawyer, everything in Singapore, and then they do an ICO there. So my advice, again, to the government is that they should have clear guidelines for the crypto, for the ICO, and hoping that Taiwan can be one of the major drive in this area. I know those guys are trying to do something, but it got to be fast because countries like Malaysia, they are revealing something, and also Japan, okay, and also even Hong Kong City, they are trying to do something more aggressive.
Yeah, so I take a little different point of view. I mean, when I see an ICO versus raising money, so part of it, of raising money, is that you have to go out and give your pitch to 1,000 VCs, which means you are honing your product in front of a knowledgeable person. Now, they may not understand when you talk about machine learning and AI, but they understand the market, they understand where that product could be going. So when you keep coming, and when I get people coming in front of me to do a pitch and it's really bad, we actually stop them and help them with their pitch and try to get the message changed. But you're sort of spending that time now. In the Silicon Valley, the rule is CEO spends half his time raising money, half his time running company. The CTO runs the day-to-day while the CEO is out raising money. Is that good or bad? Well, I think part of it is that I think my idea is great, but does the market, well, there's two ways. I could build a product and find out nobody likes it, or I can get it in front of peers and VCs, and they're going to tell me. And I think one of the differences between Taiwan and Silicon Valley is in Silicon Valley, we talk about our ideas all day to everybody. In Taiwan, we want to keep everything secret. We don't want to tell anybody. And this is one of the reasons why when you ask senior executives at any of the daqiye, or the big companies here, where's the startup community? They don't have it. Oh, we don't have any. In fact, we play in this every day. We know there's a huge community here, but that message is not getting out. And the reason why is a lot of the startups are trying to keep everything to themselves. A lot of the school projects, a lot of government, everybody's trying to hide stuff. Whereas in the US, everybody goes to Crunchbase. And as soon as I have an idea, I'm going to put it on Crunchbase and see who comes and buys it. Yep. Okay? And see, say my dan, who's gonna come for it. And here we're trying to be secretive. But back to your question, I believe if you're an ICO and you're just more worrying about the process, and you're worrying about the law, you're not worrying about my product. Yep. So I think that's sort of, to me, until that changes, where ICOs are actually going out and pitching and doing tours. If you've ever done a Sand Hill tour, at the end of the day, you really want to drink.
Yeah, I've got a couple things to add there. So for the last year and a half, I've been coming back and forth from Taiwan and the U.S., and a lot of it is like meeting Taiwanese founders. And so the question of the Taiwan's next generation of founders, how can they build world-class products, et cetera, companies? That's something that we explored. And to your point, unfortunately, I don't think Taiwan founders can sell their products very well, right? Like they can build it, and they have deep knowledge on the technical expertise, but from telling a story to presenting a pitch deck to convincing an investor, there is a knowledge gap there, and it could very well be that they're not telling enough people about their company for whatever reason. It could be they think they have the best IP of something, or they're just scared to do it. But that is very different when when I started meeting Taiwanese founders in Taiwan, I would remember back to like some of the Accelerator days that I went through. There's one, I went through Capital Factory Accelerator program in Austin, and in 1 year, they gave me the Founder of the Year award, and it's not because our company was the best, it was because I took the most mentor office hours, and I had taken that year like 981, and second place was 134. And that's just like, I just went to everybody and told them the idea and got their feedback and just continually tweaked it. Come here and you meet Taiwanese founders and there is a little bit of a hesitation on what are you working on, you know? But in America, it's like, what are you working on? How can I help? And I think that's something that should be discussed here.
Yep, I think I totally agree with JD talking about, I think Taiwanese I would not say particularly Taiwanese company, but maybe this is a very significant of what we observe. Taiwanese companies are very good in R&D, developing their product, but seriously to the investors, the only question we have is, why should I care? Okay, you might have a wonderful product, but to us it's really about go-to-market. How do I make money out of you? By investing into you. You could tell me how good your product, this bicycle or this car can even fly without energy, without anything. But worse is, who is going to use it? Who is going to pay for it? I think that is the key part. And then just to echo on Bruce, talking about very secretive, I would say that if startup, you feel that if by you just telling your product or your idea to someone could actually copy it, I think it's not even worth the time of a VC to invest into you. So I think you do not have that particular skill set or particular unique selling point that it gives out investors to see the game plan in you. Okay. So my next question is like this: all money are green, but not all source of capital are equal. To me, 15 years in investing, every time before I invest, the key challenges that before I really sign on the dotted line on the check, I always ask myself one question: how can I assist them? How could we, as my firm, create value for them? What kind of unfair advantage can we create for them? So I think the key challenges I would love to have an answer from you guys is, by going into your incubator or working with you, what unfair advantage can you create for those incubee or the people that you work around with? What kind of unfair advantage?
Totally agree. So actually in the past year, we learned a lot from our experience in investing and incubating those companies. We did make some mistakes. For instance, okay, they come to pitch, and then, wow, we see a great business model, a great product, and then we are totally attracted by the business model. And we didn't too focus on the people itself, the teammates. So we invested in some, I cannot say it's a shit startup, but it's not that good, okay? And turn out, okay, the execution matters. And they cannot even prove the initial traction, but they still have a great product. So we learned from all this experience, and then finally we came to conclusion is that we invest in entrepreneurs, we invest in the team, not in the business model and product. So on the other hand, as an accelerator, before we really accepted and signed a contract with the startup, we will evaluate whether we can really help them. What kind of resources we can give them and add value and help them to take off. So we are trying to be more cautious, but I think it's a natural process for us.
Yep.
Yeah, in Silicon Valley, and actually if you go to Israel, in Silicon Valley and Israel, it's the people. Ideas come, ideas go. And you'll find in Israel, a lot of the startups get money just on an idea because they have 2 or 3 previous startups that they've been successful at. So that's easy. They have a track record. But here, when you have no track record, you just come out of university. And back to JD's point, you know, are you going to give away your company? You know, I really want that partner. Yep. So LITE-ON is a big company, and people say, "Well, what value can I bring?" Yeah, so we can help you in the manufacturing side. We can help you here, but in reality, you have to be the one driving your own product. So strategic partnerships are wonderful because that gives you an insight, or gives me an insight as to they have more knowledge than I do, regardless if it's retail or if it's manufacturing. Whoever I can get partnering with, they can help me. But you have to know the true strategic value for them, and then how much is that worth? Because you have to give up more money and more equity when you give it to a strategic partner than you do when you give it to an angel or a normal VC. So you do need to be conscious of that. But I think in the end, money is money. And I'd much rather take the money, succeed, and then take that money and do my next startup. A lot of people get really caught up on this. Well, this is my unicorn opportunity. And turns out not to be a unicorn. And you wasted all your opportunity and money. If somebody wants to give you money, outside of China, if anybody wants to give you money, take it.
There's something that I'm currently learning in this experience on this company, and it's a riff off of, I think Mark Andreessen wrote a post, because both of you were talking about teams and product, and he wrote a blog post in like 2006 or 7, and he basically was arguing what's most important. Is it the team, the product, or the market, right? And he said, most investors will say team, right? I'm investing in the team. Most engineers would say product. I've built a great product, right? And then he argued that neither of those are the most important. It's actually the market. And by what he's defining is the market problem. So he said if you have a killer team, you need to have a good team. But if you have a killer team and they can work on an awesome product, but in a super crowded market, you lose, right? If you have an okay team and you have an awesome product, but no one wants to use your product, you lose, right? But then he was like, if you can just simply describe a problem that a whole bunch of people want a solution to, and no one has any solution, you can have a shitty team and a shitty problem, and you'll just iterate over and over, replace people, do your iterations, because that market will just keep buying it because they need that solution, right?
It's called timing and luck is everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and that's what I'm learning today is when you go out and pitch investors and you throw out your ideas, right? And so even as a CEO and a founder, this is 101 for me now. I don't lead with the team, I don't lead with the product, I lead with the problem. Hey, I've built a company, and this is who is using it and what is their problem. That's number one out of the gate first now.
I don't really have too much to add. I think it was all really great points, but I'm just wondering maybe if IOTA is the last one there. I don't know. No, just joking. But
Okay, maybe I just want to chop out a bit from my side. I think if you ask me what is my unfair advantage by joining us or getting us as investors, I think we have built a strong connection, market accessibility across Taiwan, across Singapore, across Malaysia, and across Thailand. We have about 32 EIR in my team, which are seasoned entrepreneurs, and these people are really motherfucker to me. I tell you, these people is going to kick your ass off and really push you all the way. Okay, my next question is very simple. I think as all the startup, we've been listening to a lot of terms like MVP, product market fit, seed round, Series A, Series B. Let's just define them in metrics. Okay, use number to define it. Use a mathematic management to describe it. How will you describe an MVP, product market fit, seed round, Series A, Series B?
All right, so what I always get this, IoT is going to be 2 billion. It's like, so what? What is your take?
Exactly.
I don't care that it's 2 billion. I don't care that, how big the problem is. If you come to me and I don't know what the problem you're trying to solve is without you, getting into detail, then I'm the wrong VC because I won't really understand. But when you come to me and say, I love it when I used to, when we were investing in solar panels and everybody say, well, I want to do this because we're going to save the world. I said, well, then you don't need to make money, right? Because you want to save the world. You tell me your problem you're trying to solve, what's your efficiency. So to me, it's not the market size, it's how you think you're going to get it. And I don't like this, oh, well, we're going to double every year. Because then I don't understand how you're going to do that with the budget you have. So you have to explain that to me. So I'm more interested in your uniqueness. And what is your uniqueness that's going to give you your niche? Because again, there's no new ideas. You're just enhancing somebody else's. There are some unique ideas, but still, you're in an ecosystem and you're enhancing. So for me, I like to know why you're different. Are you different?
Well, I mean, we're in a very unique position because we don't have to do any seed rounds
but there are a lot of competitors to your IoT platform.
There are not that I've seen. So
Well, I have.
maybe not. I mean, none that we take. Well, we look at a few,
Right.
but
Right, but you see yourself as unique, right?
well, I think going back to the previous question, actually, I think we really look at it from what is the problem side of things. I mean, I don't know if unique is even the right word because these are all ideas, like you just said. But I think they offer a solution to a problem, and we're in a unique spot where we don't need to do this seed funding and Series A, Series B, whatever. We're actually able to invest in startups now. So.
Oh, by the way, so yeah, Taiwan is very hard for Series A because Taiwan, most companies want to get their ROI sooner. Whereas in angel investors, you can take 5 years. I've got a few on the 5-year mark right now. I'm waiting for them to actually do something better. So especially in corporate, we can't do A. Even A is a problem because there's not enough volume in that business, not enough revenue for us to be. It's not going to change our bottom line, or it's not going to help us a lot. So we are looking for a little more serious companies. But then the problem comes, those good companies, especially if you go to Israel or US or Europe to buy them, well, the valuation is too high. And that's another problem for Taiwan, where we're very conservative in what we do and how we spend our money. So it's a lot different. So that's why most people try to go to the US, try to get to Silicon Valley to raise money, because raising series angel and A and seed is much, much easier. I never look at a company that's, I know companies, and I try to avoid companies that have gone to D. We call that the round of death. F, I'm not going to say. Yeah, so we try to find people who are in the A, B area mostly.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think to your question, I'll take a shot at that one. So MVP is you have an idea, you're working an idea. Maybe some users, typically pre-revenue, so you may make some money, but it's not real money. It's like I'm toying around with my business model, right? When your MVP gets enough demand that, hey, there's something here, then I would say that you're in revenue phase, and you're in post-MVP pre-revenue. So this whole time is angel money.
Sounds like a pregnancy.
What's that?
Sounds like pregnancy.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, you're in that trimester. But then, so this is all angel money. This is all friends and family money. But now it's starting to get defined. So you're starting to make some money between $0 and $1 million a year. So $1 million run rate. That's going to be pre-revenue, right? That's going to be seed round, and it's what they call early traction. So you're starting to build some traction. You get up to $1 million a year, right? Then from 1 million to usually like 5 million, that's early scale, and that could be your Series A. So if you're like 1 million to 5 million a year in the U.S., you can typically get an A round investment. Until you get to 1 million, you're usually in the seed round. If you're working on your idea, that's your angel round. The later stuff, Bruce probably knows better than I, but those are the stages that I know.
Okay.
Okay, the MVP, POC, seed round, Series A, B, C, it's like an SOP, right? And then finally, you will become a unicorn. Okay, okay. So let's talk something about unicorn in Taiwan. Okay, yesterday a journalist did an interview with me. The first question she asked is, why Taiwan still doesn't have a unicorn so far? But small cities like Singapore and Hong Kong, they managed to create like 4 and 5 unicorns. It's a very difficult question. So from my point of view, I think it's not about the product again. It's not about the business model. I think it's about the attitude. You know, Taiwan is a very special island. The population is not that big, but not that small. So a lot of entrepreneurs here, they just try to focus to grow here in this island. And most of them, as far as I get in touch with them, they don't really have an international, global mindset. Very different from the entrepreneurs in Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, and even Indonesia. So last month, I attended an event in Indonesia. Like 30 teams did a pitch to me, and over 60% of them, they have an international plan. And they told me about that. Okay, if we achieve this in Indonesia, then we will go to the entire Southeast Asian market. But in Taiwan, most entrepreneurs, they don't have this kind of regional or global mindset. So in our program, we always encourage the startup founders to think globally. If not globally, to think regionally. If not regionally, at least to think cross-border on day one. And then they will try to readjust the business plan, and then they will know how to develop a world-class product. It's not a product for the Taiwanese. So I think the attitudes will define your fate, actually.
I think just to top up Kelvin, I have cracked the code for you how to build a unicorn. Okay, because my background is from PE, so it's simple. The moment you start a company, issue 1 billion of share, try to sell 1 share at $1, then you get it done. Then you get a unicorn valuation, 1 billion. Okay, I think I just want to top up a bit on defining what is MVP, seed round, whatever. To me, MVP seed round is very simple. At least you have 100 paying customers, 20% retention rate that is spent twice in your platform. That is what we define as a seed round. Seed round is what we define as if you could actually capture 20% of your market share in your geographic location, in your country where you started it, and then you have maximum 20% churn rate. Churn rate means that people that drop off. If you are in Series B, we actually put a matrix. It's very simple. I don't care whatever you are building. I need at least 20% gross profit margin. That is the minimum that we are looking at in terms of metrics.
That's good for software.
Agreed, yeah, but there are certain products.
Right. So when you're talking hardware and I'm making IoT modules hardware, and if I got 1,000 people to buy my weather sensor, that's pretty good. I got a good run rate, but in software, that's not. I spent a lot of time in Israel. In Israel, when they create a company, they create the company to sell. In Taiwan and in Asia, we build companies so that we can leave it to our children.
Okay, for legacy.
We want to build a legacy, so we force them to work at our jobs, even though they want to be something else. We tell them. Whereas in Israel, they build companies, and they know before they create the company who they're going to sell it to, and they leave money to their children. Here, we have this for that, where we want to force our children to do what we do. And it's a problem. Even I've lived in Malaysia and Singapore, and this problem is still there, where we do that. But yeah, so those matrices are great for software.
Agreed. But that's why we actually fix on returning customers. I think because customers might come to you because of curiosity, but then if they are returning, means that you actually create a value, you actually solve part of their pain. Okay, so my next question is quite simple. Okay, I realize that fundraising is a distraction. Okay, that's why we actually, from my firm, we used to do what multi-stage. Now we don't do. We still continue with our multi-stage, but then now every time we invest into any investee or any startup, we invest for 2 rounds. So that's been because we realized one big problem is that every time we invest in a company, the first round that we invested maybe for a 12-month runway, but after a while, the startups start to get panicked. After on the 7 month, on the 8 month, they are very worried, or the money is going low. I need to start fundraising. And then when they start fundraising, they start to neglect their operation. And then the CEO actually have to go out and keep pitching, not knowing whether will I get the money or not. So they start to scale down. They start to move more passively, where they should be aggressively growing the business. So every time when we invest, we do 2 rounds. The first round when we invested, if they hit our KPI, then we will do up the follow-up round for them, and then we will lead the second round ourselves. I think that actually we want to take away the stress so that the CEO or the founders can concentrate on delivering what they promised to us. Okay, so the next question is, what milestone do they need to justify for the next round of fundraising?
Well, what did you set for the KPI, right? So if you set the KPI at dollar value or customer acquisition, or did you set it at market penetration? I have a whole bunch of ideas to pitch to you if you have that take. But a lot of people, you'll see, a lot of VCs do this A or seed, and then they have a follow up there. They don't want to get diluted, so they take the next round too. So, but again, it's based on doing hardware, doing software, doing hardware, software. If you're doing just cloud stuff, whatever. So based on the KPIs. The other problem is most founders believe that they're a unicorn and they will own the world in 6 months. So I like to sit with them to set the KPIs and say, listen, yeah, if you just get a 1%, penetration in Taiwan, I'll be happy. Just at least there's validates that somebody's buying your product. So I set it fairly low, because you got to get just the ball rolling. Now, you have to then see what the tech support was like, what the questions were, what the issues were, were there any returns, or were there any people canceling? Are they getting terrible remarks on Facebook and on Twitter? So all of that social monitoring we do for ideas and startups. So you have to kind of keep eye on them. So you have to know who you're dealing with. So for me, it's try to keep a conservative KPI between seed and A. B, yeah, you need a bigger penetration. So.
Well, I think one thing, maybe along the same lines, right? So when I started this company, I was very fortunate to. My first investor was a very seasoned, kind of a legend in Austin. He built Tivoli in his late 20s, and he sold it for like $800 million. And we connected pretty well. And he said, "Hey, look, I'll write a $25,000 check for you. I'm going to take a board seat, and then we're going to meet every 2 weeks, right?" And for the last 2 years, he's held to that. So I owe a lot of my growth to Bob Fabio is his name. One of the things he did super early on was get me to prep for board meetings correctly, which is a skill that, there's so much coming at you as a founder at the beginning that those board meetings, and then a lot of times you have like rando advisors on your board and they're not really sure how to do a board meeting. Well, Bob does, and he's like, here's the template. Here's your KPIs, here's how you report, and we're going to log, and then we're going to have this trail, so as you raise money, you can show it. Now, the reason I'm saying this is, I've seen that it's one thing when you talk with investors to keep them updated on whether or not you hit the mark, right? It's another thing to explain correctly why you didn't hit the mark, right? So it's as important to be able to project correctly and be able to explain how you can project correctly. If you missed your mark, what were the reasons? And then and then another thing is like, hey, Andrew, in our meeting, like I'm gonna call you in like 3 weeks, and I know that you're looking for me to make my 100K MRR a month, but Andrew, I'm telling you, I'm not gonna make it. It's gonna be 80K MRR. Here are the reasons why. But between now and my call with you in 3 weeks, I'm gonna work on these 3 things. I'm not gonna get to 100, but I'm gonna maybe get from 75 to 85, right? And if you can keep up this kind of communication and have that trail, I mean, I don't know, you guys are the investors, I think that looks pretty good upon the management team.
We invest in pre-seed actually. So for us, it's quite easy to answer the question. What is the best timing to raise the next round? So for those e-commerce app and social platform startup like that, okay, the next financing round is whether or not they achieve the product market fit. Okay, the seed round or even pre-A. But we also invest in some biotech, agricultural startup is another story. The investor will see whether or not you achieve the proof of concept. Did you do enough tests in the market, and to test the product is going to be properly delivered in the market. So it depends on which industry you are talking about, but we do have some KPIs, indicators to make sure that, okay, you guys deliver. You hit the mark, you deliver what you promised, commit in your business plan, and then you can go to the next financing round.
Okay. Edward, do you have anything?
I mean, I don't really have much to add to many of these questions. I mean, I'm not in the financing side of things. Yeah, it's not my wheelhouse. So.
Okay, no problem. Okay, then my next question is very interesting. I think we all believe that angel investors come with wings, and these people actually help us during our ideation stage. However, I realize there's one big problem with has been very unfair to angel investor. Why they are always the first in, and maybe they are the last one to get out. Okay, I think this is the key of it, which is going to shape the future of the financing. How can we play a part to ensure that angel investors can get their cut or exit so that they can plow back their profit or investment in helping more startups become more successful? I think Bruce have quite resonate to you.
So the reason, there's only 2 reasons to be an angel investor. One, my son, I will be, you're my nephew, you're my cousin, I'm close to you, done that. And so that's almost charity work, because I believe in you, yeah. But as a regular angel investor, the problem is most angels are doing it for 2 reasons. One, they're interested. Very few angels have no idea what you're doing. Yep. But I have seen some, and I've actually in working in the Dallas venture market, there are a lot of angels from the oil business who, hey, high tech, so let's throw money in. And I think you get that also out here. But the problem is professionals come in after the angel. And professionals change the game and change the term sheets.
Yep.
I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. And that's what happens to angels.
Yep.
The value of an angel was good during the proof point.
Yep.
Once they are getting to market and they need serious capital, the serious capital guy says, listen, your angel, your mother, that's all great, but we're in the big times now. And so you end up, what's the technical term? Screwing the angel investor. I'm working on one of the investments I have. They diluted all of the angels from like 10% down to 2%. when they did the round, and angels aren't taking too happy to that. Now there are some angels who actually go in and do A. So there are angels who will keep going with you. They may not give you millions, they may still do, but you have to accept them and say, okay, I'll let you in on the next round, and big guys are doing it, but I'll let you come in for another 100K, or even somewhere in that range. And I think that's the due diligence, or I guess they owe that to their angels. Not everybody does it. When a big shot comes, they say, bye-bye, angel.
Yep, no.
And then you get a board seat, and then you help them get to a certain point, and then they say, oh, you know what? There's no more board seats. So appreciate your angels.
Yep, agree.
Well, I think one shift in the market that I'm seeing is that there are different types of angels. There's just friends and family angels, and then I am encountering a lot more sophisticated angels, like people that are actually trying to do this. They don't have to make the money, whereas like a VC, you have to get your returns. But an angel, could be wealthy, but they're just like family office is an example. They're really starting to understand term sheets and everything. I don't know, maybe this is, I wouldn't say naive, but like I always kind of think about this in terms of like the founding team and the angels are kind of like one group, the VCs are the other group, right? And so like to help the angels, right? Like if you're going to screw your angel investors, guess what? Like the founders probably got screwed along the way as well, right? So, when you're a founder and you've got great angels that helped you at the early beginning, and you go talk to those term sheet guys, then yeah, I do think there is some responsibility there to try and protect your interests and the people that were with you at the beginning. And VCs are bad. No, I'm just kidding.
VC are sharks. Okay, later I'll explain. I'll take it later after Kevin.
Jerry is correct. There are different kinds of angels, like experienced angel, professional angels, and dumb angels. So I think the case that Andrew is mentioning is the dumb one. So for us, we as an accelerator, we are also angel. And people call us super angels, whatever, okay, because we are kind of a professional. I know some angels, they invest in the startup, they don't even have a shareholder agreement.
Okay, yep.
That's crazy. A lot of cases in Taiwan is like that. But for us, we have all the rights. Drag along, tag along, preemptive, everything. It's like a professional institution. So it depends on what kind of angels you're talking about. But Taiwanese government, they are trying to encourage more angels to invest in a startup with tax reduction, everything. So maybe we can do some seminars or classes to educate the angels to be smart. Okay.
And to that point, real quick, I mean, like, I think that's a great idea. I mean, like there's so many people. Angels are typically like already high net worth, right? Like they're not counting on this to make money. So for the dumb angels, as we're saying, right? Like the first thing you'll hear is, oh, if I can break even, I will definitely do it. Well, startup investing is not that black and white. It's not just if I can break even, right? Like that's a good goal, but there's so many different outcomes, and the education of knowledge of the outcomes will help somebody that's high net worth go, okay, what do I want to do? Do I just want to be a friends and family helper? Do I want to do this for a living? Maybe I do want some return, but that education is going to help them open their pocketbook, and it does need to happen.
Yeah, I think a lot of the professional angels, you want the professional angel because they're going to help you at the beginning with the introductions, with who to meet, and I think that's like your original angels gave introductions to people, and I think that's, if you're going to get a professional angel, get one that's going to add value to you, not just give you money. So more of a strategic angel. I think those are more valuable than friends and family money at all, because friends and family give you a lot of pressure. But a professional angel is going to do a lot more due diligence. They're going to go through your PowerPoint much more. They're going to go through your spreadsheets a lot more than trying to convince high net worth people. I think the other thing about high net worth people and here in Taiwan, we do need seminars. And the other thing they have to understand is not every, I mean, as a VC, normally in Silicon Valley, it's a 30 to 1. 30 investments, you get one that's going to be a unicorn enough to get you all the 30 money back. And a lot of angels need to understand, that you're going to lose some, and you're going to win some, and you're going to sell some. And so understanding, how you get your money back. A VC knows how he's going to get his money back, but an angel doesn't know. And I always get the question here, K. Bao Zhen, can you guarantee me I get my money back? I can't guarantee anything. And if you can't guarantee, how much risk are you willing to take? So you have to understand, never bet your core money. Bet the money that you have extra. So never bet your retirement money, because that's dangerous.
You have anything to say? No?
Have you
Anything to add on?
Did you guys start 100% ICO?
So the IOTA founders basically they did a token sale, right? They sold 100% of the tokens.
Before you started, before you wrote any code?
No, the code was written then. So they sold all the tokens on a new network, so it wasn't like on Ethereum or something. They sold 100% of the tokens, and then a year or so later, the community was growing and wanted to have an organization. You can think of it like maybe Consensus or so for Ethereum. And the founders of IOTA said, if you guys will donate some money back to us, we can start this organization. So the only fundraising that was ever done for IOTA Foundation was donations from the original people who bought it, and they donated.
Did it go up?
Did what? The token value? Oh yeah, of course. So IOTA is, I believe it's either number 1 or number 2 ROI of ICOs ever.
Yep, agreed. Okay, by the way, I just want to clarify a bit. Okay, I think Professor Hang, this is the key challenges you get a VC become a moderator. I was talking about how to protect the interests of angel investors and getting them reward for their hard work. But it ends up, I get all the blaming game. Okay. To be honest, I just want to take Kelvin thing. I agree. There are a lot of time. There are a lot of investors without a proper agreement. So you see, when we come in on the next round, the key challenges that we are facing is that when we speak to the angel investors, they don't even know how to differentiate. Are they borrowing to the company or are they actually investing? That is one key challenges. So, but what we have done is that in Malaysia or in Singapore or Thailand, wherever we invest, we actually allows if they have a shareholder agreement, we actually allow the angel investor to tag along part of it. We don't let them fully exit because I believe when the startup comes to raise fund, there is a particular funding they need on a certain usage. So normally we allow the angel investor minimum to secure back their minimum capital investment or at least at 2x of what they've invested, regardless of what valuation. So this is what I think. In terms of coaching angel investor, I've been doing for the past 6 months. I've coached about 400 over angel investor in Malaysia. I think angel investor is really, it's going to be the key pillar for the success of startup because I have been angel investor for the past 15 years. I know the time, the effort that we have put in, the sleepless night, and then how we mentor it. And then the worst experience I have mentoring one company, you could not believe it, is I was coaching one company, one startup. I was working with the pitching on the pitch deck until like 3 o'clock at night. And then I leave back home. I say, okay, Gabriel, you get this done. Tomorrow, all the best for your 10 o'clock meeting. And then when I call him, wake up at 12 o'clock noon. When I woke up at 12 o'clock noon, I give him a call. I say, how was the presentation going? You know what he told me? He said, Andrew, I thought you were supposed to wake me up. You know, that kind of experience that I had. So I realized next time, do not coach people for free. Build them, give them some pain.
Wait, so I love this topic, and so one thing that I've learned, and I think I read it somewhere, but in angel investing, when you approach angels, every time, if you ask for money, you're going to get advice.
Yep.
If you ask for advice, you could get money, right? Yep. So to kind of your point, with angels, different than VCs, you want to find people that are strategically in your space, go to them and ask them for advice. And then if they like your idea, then they may go, hey, I'm interested in blah, blah, blah. But if you just ask them for money, then they're going to give you advice.
Yep, agree. Okay, so I think time is a bit running out, but I want to address a question where Edward can also participate. What's the future holding for each of you? In your own space, in your own vertical, what do you think the future, the next 3 years, 5 years, is going to be good for you?
Yeah, I mean, looking at ICO space in particular, like I said earlier on, I don't particularly see the ICO industry continuing as it has, especially. I mean, if we do 1,000 ICOs a year, who's going to be using all these tokens to pay for everything? Like, I don't want to use separate token for every single thing that I do in my life. So yeah, 5 years from now is very hard to say. I think we'll continue to see innovation for sure in finance and crowdfunding and VC, if you will. But from my perspective, moving that away from VCs and to the crowd, to the people, to the market directly, to me that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, we're all about it, peer-to-peer, so peer-to-peer trading, but also peer-to-peer finance. So having a way to do that seems like something that somebody will create at some point.
Good.
Well, for us, for SocialMatters.ai, we are fundraising, so we have probably 250,000 left in this round. But beyond that, strategically for us, one of the reasons for the trip back to Taiwan for me, other than this panel, is we're looking at starting a branch here in Taiwan. So the company is based in Austin, Texas. We do AI, we do some data entry work, but we've now started some workers in Hsinchu. We'll see how that goes, and if it goes well, then personally I'm passionate about Taiwan's future and Taiwan founders, and I would love to see if there's an opportunity to source deals in the U.S. and bring it down to Taiwan. So that could be my next couple of years.
Oh, very good.
For us, we are trying to expand to other Asian countries and then connecting them together. Okay, so when we are helping the Taiwanese startup, we can have a broader network to help them to expand in the market and also in fundraising. And for the fund side, the money side, we are exploring how to really better connect to the crypto world, okay? Because everybody is talking about ICO, totally bypass the VC, the angels, and they don't even have a product, but they managed to raise $100 million in 6 months. That's fucking crazy, So, but we have to investigate, we have to understand, and also we have to try to get into this trend, actually. Some VC friends told me that in 7 years, most of the VC fund will be tokenized. Wow, that's a great revolution. And so, what's next? So that is something that we are trying to invest, and also to more understand the model of projects like IOTA, Filecoin, Bancor, etc. Okay.
Yeah, I think the new tech world sort of opens up possibilities for capital investment that didn't exist, right? So you might think like, okay, we have Kickstarter, but somebody in rural Ethiopia or something can't use Kickstarter, but if they could send tokens to somebody with their phone, they can invest, right? So there is definitely a huge growing market for crowdfunding new ideas, and you don't, at the end of the day, with modern technology and especially with crypto, I don't think you need a VC to say, hey, this idea is good or this idea is bad. You just open it up directly to the market, and if they like it, they can buy it, and anybody can do it.
Yep.
That's a great concept. The only problem is, after 5 years, when these micro investors don't get their money back, the little guy in Ethiopia who gave $3 and it doesn't see his $3 come back, it's a problem.
Yes.
As a VC, we're used to 5, 7, 10 years to get our money back. So we can wait. Whereas as a angel myself, I've seen money come, and I've seen money go, and I've seen money go, and I've seen money go. So, you know, that's why I say it's a trend. Just like, you know, the rise and fall of Kickstarter and Indiegogo. You know, people didn't actually make the stuff that they promised on Indiegogo and Kickstarter. And so I think these are trends. I think it'll settle out. I think what will allow us to do is the middle class of the world will be able to get into almost like you would say a fund and like almost a hedge fund. And so that I think is where it will settle out to. That I'm not going to give $1 million and I'm not going to give $3, but I could give $10,000 into this project, and then they may invest in different things or not. As for where I see the future, as a Taiwanese, I am Taiwanese, so I can. I think there is great hope for Taiwan. Even though most people in Taiwan don't believe this, I do.
I believe though.
And the reason why I believe is there is a once we start getting the educated on what an angel is and what the risks are for an angel and how much money they really need to put in, and we start getting government rules that allow me to do angel investments and allow me to do to do different, and rules and all have to be changed here. I also believe that because of the AI and machine learning is the future for Taiwan. We have the skills here. I've been promoting the concept of contract manufacturing for machine learning, and which is, people here in Taiwan who have the skill sets to do training, to do algorithms, and optimization and networking. They don't do, just as we do in contract manufacturing, we are not the original idea guy. We are not the domain experts. So when we make something for one of the large car companies, they're giving us the specifications. So when I believe in the future of Taiwan, where people will come to Taiwan with a couple of terabytes of hard drives and say, these are our images, we'd like you to train and optimize on them. And that, to me, we have the engineers here, we have the ability. The things we need here, we need mentoring programs. We don't have a nationwide mentoring program. We have millions of mentors capable in Taiwan. We don't have a crunch base for Taiwan. If I want to look for a startup, I have a team which is in the audience today, and their job is to go out and find these startups for me. When I have an idea, I need something, they go out and find it for me. And that's their job. We have to go to eTree, we go to Triple, we go to academia, we go to universities, we look in the startup community. There is not a good, even in Asia, Malaysia, when I worked in Malaysia, we didn't have a crunch base. We had to, sit down at a coffee shop and ask friends what's going on, right? So in Silicon Valley, people put their ideas on Crunchbase while they're still ideas. That's another thing we need to do. So we need a database. The third thing we need, especially from the manufacturing point of view, is we need a map of where to manufacture stuff. You can't come to LITE-ON and ask us to manufacture 1,000, wireless access points, because we do millions. So there is a community here that does that. Then the small and medium enterprises in Taiwan, I don't know where to find them. Now, I do because we need them sometimes in my business. But why are startups going to Shenzhen? Because there's the Shenzhen map. They know where to get capacitors, resistors, and boards and stuff. We don't have that here. And that's another thing we need to do, is we need to develop that, the map of what's here. We need to have the list of mentors, and we need a list of projects and startups that are in Taiwan. And I think when we get that done, That's really the area of focus.
Yep, good. Thank you, everyone. But before we leave it here, just a quick advice for any company that's fundraising. Can you just maybe
Look
give
for him.
Look for me is of course though. Okay, but at least a piece of advice. What we advise for company that's looking for fundraising, whether is it from incubator,
Get your 15-second pitch down.
Awesome.
Get your 15-second pitch, because I cannot remember anything beyond 15 seconds. All right? If you don't catch me in 15 seconds, I'm not listening.
Yep.
That's sorry.
Yep. Agree.
Don't launch an ERC20 ICO.
Very quick advice is fundraising is a numbers game, and I think a lot of people forget that. So it is getting your pitch, iterating your pitch, getting your spreadsheet. Just go down the list, keep hounding everybody until either they write a check or you run out of money. It's as simple as that.
My advice is forget about fundraising. Focus on your work, get a customer, drive up the revenue, and then money will come to you.
Kind of agree,
Yeah.
kind of not agree. Sometimes you need
Yeah.
to feed yourself though.
So I always say, I got this from another friend, but I've never failed. I just go to the next project.
Yep. Agree.
And that's something we in Taiwan have to learn. Failure is a requirement for success.
Okay. I think to me, failure is the valley of death. Every startup will have to go through the phase of valley of death. Okay, to me, if my advice is simple, everyone have an opinion. Opinion is like asshole. Everyone have one. If you don't have data to back up your opinion, just shut up and listen. That is my take for you. And just wrap it out. Thank you, everyone. I think it's been a good sharing. I've learned a lot from all this guy. Thank you. Thank you.